Purgle.
DJ Purgle. That might be my new DJ name, actually, because I actually really love that.
Yeah, man, let's do it. DJ
Hmm.
Purgle, man, all about the whales.
Hell yeah.
And we have to introduce our third member of Salamners who's been on this episode or this show so many times that he's an honorary member. Razi, what up?
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up, y'all? It's
Can we
DJ Ridiculous in the house, aka Save the Whales.
save
Oh,
the
man.
whales? I love it.
Do I have to make a nickname for you too now? I have to make nicknames for everybody.
Yo. Can we give him the co-host badge?
How do we do that?
Razi, so you know how you said you were looking like trying to become a guest? Can we call you a co-host?
Could go
I
the
go
go the
on
random brown guy that grabbed off the street.
I'm down, man. The fans love Ruddy. They told us during The Last of Us they're
That's
big
awesome.
fans. There's a few people who gets really
I love
cool
the fans.
callbacks and mentioned. One of them is you, Ruzzy. The other one is Ruby.
Awesome.
People really like Ruby when
Yeah.
she's on. Like
Mhm.
they like her a lot. And
Also, there's Richard, Cat Lady JJ.
oh yeah, those guys are popular too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love when we have them on there. It's so much fun. We got to get Cat Lady JJ back on too because she is also a Star Wars fan, so we can get her on also. Yeah, she's a big
yes.
Star Wars
Ooh,
fan. Yeah. Intergalactic
growing.
DJ Purgo. What's up, Michael? Michael is in the chat, man. We got-
MTF in the house.
MTF
What's
the
up, bro?
third.
yes. Oh man, love it, love it. All right, listen. We had a little technical difficulties with episode 1, but episode 2 should go a lot smoother, hopefully. Inshallah, brother.
Inshallah.
Yes. All right. So this episode starts off with Ren in the hospital, and Ahsoka gives her that "you've done enough" speech, which like every master does to their Padawan, which I thought was really really interesting. What are your thoughts about Ahsoka and Ren's relationship, Ruzzy?
Ooh, this is where I want to dig deeper. I hope episode 3, or maybe some other episode has a flashback that digs into the gap years between where this episode ends, which is the same, I guess, timeline as the Rebels, and becoming a Padawan. I want to know what happened. So I'm very eager to kind of dig deep into this, and but there's a lot of tension. So
Yeah, Jav,
which
do you
I'm
think
sure
we'll
we'll chat
get
about.
Jav? Do you think we'll get some flashbacks, or do you think they'll
Oh.
just like?
For
Yeah?
sure, we will get flashbacks, man. There's no way we will not.
Because sometimes they'll just like explain it in words or in conversations, but like I really want to see a flashback. I want to see like
Me too.
Ahsoka and Sabine in their prime.
There's a story here for sure.
Ooh, Neebs.
That'd be so good.
You hit the nail on the head, man. There's a story here for sure because Ahsoka and Sabine Wren are two integral parts of like the Star Wars universe and lore, right? To
Yeah.
have them falling apart, if they simply just do it in conversation, I think that would be a disservice to all the fans and to fans of the lore. I think they have to do something bigger with it. And maybe it may not happen in the next episode. I'm kind of hoping it does. But I wouldn't mind a Sabine Wren spinoff show for a few episodes.
I wouldn't mind that either. Michael
Nice.
here says he loves the complicated Master Padawan relationships. Those are really good. Let's talk about that for a second. Who are some of your favorite Master Padawan relationships? Because we got Qui-Gon with Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan with Anakin, Anakin with Snips, aka Ahsoka. Now we got Ahsoka with Sabine. Does that make Sabine like the great grand Padawan of like
Qui-Gon, yeah.
Qui-Gon? Is that how it works?
Technically.
Let's not forget Luke, Master
Oh, yeah.
Luke.
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan also taught Luke. That's true.
We
That's true.
got, and then Luke taught Grogu, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, he also
And-
taught Leia.
Y'all are forgetting a
And
very big
Leia.
one. Luke and Ben Solo.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
AKA
Luke and
Kylo
Ben
Ren.
Solo.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a
Also
lot.
Yoda. Can't forget Yoda.
And Yoda. Yeah, of course. Master Yoda.
That's true. Oh, and Dooku and Qui-Gon. That's right. That's the one I want to see. That's a
Actually,
great
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Because like
Two
Qui-Gon,
legends.
Yeah, Qui-Gon was not always like 100% with the Force. He was just like, the Force is there, right? It just happened to be there. And then Dooku was really the one who kind of like was like, hey, I don't know if the Jedi is doing the right things. And, he went too far to the other side. But I don't know. Man had a point, man. Sometimes it's a little sketch. But yeah, man, Dooku is a good one.
What about
Mm.
Yoda and Dooku?
That's a good one too. There was a cartoon that had they gave us a little bit more of Doku's what you call it, past, I believe. Doku and I
Clone
believe
Wars.
Qui-Gon. Yeah, I think it was an episode of Clone Wars, maybe. I
I
want
can't
to
remember
say.
honestly which show or which episode it was, but yeah, that was it.
I remember seeing that. That was really interesting. I love to see someone go into the dark side and how it's like seduces them. I love that. It's kind of really, really
Ooh.
cool.
Speaking of
I
the
feel
dark
like
side, how about Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious?
Ooh.
yeah, that's good.
That's
That's
a
good.
good one. That's
I
a good
would love to
one.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we got
Okay. MTF saying it was Tales of the Jedi. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh
that's what it
yeah,
was.
that's right.
Tales of the
That's right. Yeah,
Jedi.
yeah,
And that had a lot to do with Ahsoka too. So if you have not watched Tales of the Jedi, I recommend you do. It talks about when Ahsoka was born and when she was a
yeah.
baby. Really cool because you get to see how Ahsoka is actually like Desi coded. She's like South Asian in a lot of ways when you see that, which I thought was pretty cool. Like when you
I
see the
feel it.
clothing, yeah, when you see the
What?
clothing you wear.
Because she
Oh no,
refused to be an engineer,
yeah,
or refused to be a doctor. Is that
she
what?
refused to be a Jedi, so technically,
Oh yeah,
I
that's true.
mean,
Yeah,
she's following the footsteps.
yeah. No, it's really, really cool. So I really like that. All right, then we see a little bit more of Hera and Ren have a little bit of a conversation. And it felt very nostalgic to see them have a little bit of a conversation with each other. And she told her, Ahsoka will get over it. And Sabine's a little like upset, but Hera's like, don't worry about it. And it felt like old times again. Like they have a history. And I thought that was really, really cool. Jazz, what are your thoughts about the conversation that not Ahsoka, Hera had with Ren?
Captain Syndulla is such a mom here. Like,
Yeah.
she
yeah.
knows what Sabine needs to hear, but also she was firm enough to be like, hey, I know you screwed up. It'll be fine. But like it's like love, but also, the veggies that go with it, right? It's not just dessert, but there's also some
Love.
broccoli there. She's like, yeah, you screwed up, but it's okay. Learn from
Yep.
it, do better. And she's such a mom, and I love that whole back and forth they had. It was just so perfect.
Big fan. Big fan of that. And then we get to see a little bit of the bad guys, I would say, the Captain Morgan. Wait, is she a captain or is that just a drink?
That's a drink.
I,
None of
yeah,
us would know.
Captain
I,
Morgan, I'm very surprised you know what that is, but okay.
I was like,
Enter
that sounds
Haram nerd.
familiar, but it doesn't sound right.
You've entered Haram
She a
nerds.
general? She's General Morgan, right? I think she's a
Yeah.
general. General Morgan, and then we see the two who may be Sith. Um, and we get to see what they're really after. And it seems like Balon is after power, which is what they want out of this whole situation, which I thought is interesting. Like the Jedi are all gone, and they seem to want power. What were your thoughts on that? Were you guys really surprised that like that's what they're after? Not after money, not after fame, not after like some kind of like, you know, some Jedi redemption or Sith redemption or religious thing that they're doing with, the Sith lore or Jedi lore. They just want power. What were your thoughts on that?
Me or Rosie?
Go with you, Jess. Let's go with you.
Okay. So I think this is a very good point they're making here, right? Normally we see the Sith want something more, right? Like bring somebody
Mhm.
back to life or absolute power, blah blah blah. Like, oh, I want to rule this, empire. But to have people who are not exactly that archetype,
Yep.
it's good because now you understand how people can be corrupted by the dark side of the force, even though, right, it's not just Like, you're not always gonna be a Jedi. You're not just automatically good forever, right? It's showing that there are ways the dark side can tempt you over time, and this is a trial you will have. And it wasn't just a trial Anakin went through; it's a trial every Jedi goes through. So seeing
Hmm.
more of the humanity behind it and some of the absolutism of the Jedi Order, this shows why it's in conflict and why we have characters like Anakin, Ben, on, and that, as you find out later in some of the sequel movies, that the Jedi Order should be, remade from the ground up. That's exactly why Yoda did the whole lightning thingy and destroyed all the archives that Luke had. So it's just
Yeah.
really cool to see that. I think, like, one of y'all mentioned last week that Dave Filoni takes the shows just to fix the movies. I
Hmm.
think this is what's
Ah,
happening here as well. And so they're showing more of a reason why that had to have happened.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Resi, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I keep thinking about how these two, and I keep calling them Force wielders, because they're not Jedi. They said we're no Jedi, but they don't seem quite like Sith. And it's
Yeah.
not has nothing to do with the red sabers. I think it just they're very different in the sense that um, Sati is more like, I mean, she feels more evil
Yeah.
than her master. I mean, she seems unhinged. She definitely seems like she could go the route of, Ben Solo at, peak Kylo Ren.
She
Um,
got that crazy look in her eyes.
she does. She's got the crazy look. But her master, I can't quite get a read on him, and I know we'll talk at the end of the show, on the end of the episode in his comments, but that I think resonates with me most on what captures him as a character. And I'm really eager to kind of even dig into his past too and learn more about him, probably more so than I would say, like on par with the Sabine and Ahsoka master apprentice relationship.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to that. Also, the chat's popping off right now. Let's share some of these comments. So this is what we're all thinking of, right? So Michael said, "Speaking of mom, when are we going to see Jaden? Is it Jaden or Jason? I thought it was Jason.
It's Jaden, I think. Yeah, it's
Is
Jaden.
it Jaden? I thought it was Jason. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going to be awesome if we get to see that. That would be so cool." Dis Inferno says something that's really cool. He goes, "What if this new galaxy has its own Jedi Order? That's
That'd be,
crazy.
Oh, it is
that'd be
Jason.
dope.
That would be
It's JACE,
wow."
and yeah, it's Jason.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the new world, I think that would be very similar to the Jedi Survivor game and just like this hidden world that,
yeah,
you're trying to work, get to.
that would be really, really
That'd be
cool,
interesting.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then Michael says, "What is this new galaxy? Has there a whole other kind of Force users? That would be really cool."
That'd be nuts.
I think
That
that's where it's headed, actually, because we have several characters who are Force users, but they're not Jedi or Sith. I mean,
Hmm.
Ahsoka at this point isn't a Jedi.
right.
Grogu isn't a
It's true.
Jedi. Asajj
Yeah.
Ventress technically isn't Sith. You could argue Leia was never a full Jedi.
And same with the
Yeah.
number of characters in Rebels too, right? The kind of like the Loth wolves and were connected to the Force. You had,
Mm-hmm.
other animals and creatures were connected to
Bendu,
the Force. Yeah,
the
exactly.
True,
great
true.
Exactly.
Bendu.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's think about it from a meta perspective, right? From a perspective of storytelling and a perspective of making genres and expanding the franchise, going into different galaxies is almost like having like a multiverse in the Star
Mhm.
Wars franchise, right? And it'd be really, really cool where you go into a completely different galaxy with completely different people, and focus on that, and then everything can be, canonically correct, and it won't bleed over into the main timeline and the main storyline with the Jedi's and the Siths and everyone else. Having an extra galaxy far away with everything new, there is so much potential, so much to play with there. I think is really, really cool. From a perspective.
But I know fans are getting mad at that, and so I think what they're trying to do is they are doing that, but they're cleverly tying it into different pieces of the lore already. And as MTF in the comments said, Dave Filoni is the all-time master of the patch, and this is where we're going.
So let me ask you this question: what if where we're going is not a galaxy in a place, but in time? Like, what if we actually go back in time, because there is a little bit of time travel in Rebels?
Okay, that is a can of worms, and I know they're gonna make shows about that later because there's no way they can leave that thread like open like that. There's for sure gonna that's gonna happen in the future, but in the context of Ahsoka and right now, that's not a thing. But you are
You think
spot
it's too
on,
early?
man. That's gonna happen. I think it's too early right now. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think it is too early.
Oh, go ahead, Rosie.
You think it's too?
Uh,
Go ahead, Rosie.
No, I mean that's literally what happens. I think in the second to last episode of Rebels, where
Right.
Ezra pulls Ahsoka out, right? So I mean, how are you going to address the fact that that she was had unknown whereabouts for like a whole season, and then she pops up at the end, and then she's in Mando, and then she has her own show. So there's a lot to uncover.
Actually, I take it back. There might be a chance they address that in the Ahsoka show, just tie it all together and leads into more other things. So maybe there is going to be a time travel aspect to this show.
That'll be wild. That'll be amazing. All right, sounds pretty cool. All right, so let's break it down to the normal people working in the Empire and this galaxy, because they go to this shipyard in Corellius, which is where we see Han Solo. Han Solo is where he gets his start. So a cool little reference there. People are just working at the shipyard and they're asking us, are they ex-Empire? And they're like, yeah, we're ex-Empire everywhere, but they're just regular people. All they care about is money. And the guy, who also is Taub on House, is where I recognize him. He was like, yeah, I am just, my loyalty is to my stakeholders. And I was like, all right, I'm buying this. All right, fair enough. And then Hera and Ahsoka go and do a little bit more digging, and this one robot rats them out. She's like, yeah, there was definitely a robot that like we didn't know about and it prevented me from doing my job. And then yeah, the HVAC robot or the H1V1 robot, whatever you want to call them.
H1V1.
I'm dead.
And then all of these little ex-Empire people started shooting up. What were your thoughts about that whole situation? Because I thought I was falling for it. I was like, oh, most of the people in the world don't really care. They just want to get paid. And then these people were actually loyal to the Empire. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Why are people still loyal to the Empire? Regular people, just blue collar schmoes.
You want me to go first? Rosie,
let's go with Rosie. Rosie can take this one first.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the whole aspect of corruption here, I think there's a little bit more to that. I mean, Ahsoka says that, it's because of greed. I mean, sure, that's like the simplistic answer, but, there's more to it than that. Are there like, it's like the Empire, like providing like protection rackets? Are they asking for money from, businesses, from like the different companies that are using the shipping container, the shipping yard? So, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot more nuance, and as someone who's followed corruption professionally, there's a lot more to it than that. So I don't know. I dig it, but I want more. I don't know. It's just something. I mean, I thought what happened afterwards when she jumped out the window. That was just that's so badass.
That was definitely badass. But before we get into that, I do want to mention this comment from Michael right here. He goes, wait, Chad, did you click it or did I click it?
You clicked it.
All right, here it is. It's showing up. Oh, did I click it twice?
Yeah. So he's saying we need more evil corporations in Star Wars.
Like hints of Andor, like little hints of
yeah. And then he called it Galactic Halliburton. Galactic Halliburton. The Emperor gave the 1% tax cut. Michael, you got
That's
some jokes, man. Michael's got some
he's
jokes
so
today.
on point. That's the whole reason
He is on
why
point.
corruption and all this exists in our world, right?
Exactly.
When certain people get benefits from, their respective governments, they will support them wholeheartedly and do whatever they can to retain power and maintain that power. It's why a lot of
Mhm.
corporations will always donate to, in America, our Republican Party and the Democratic Party, because they just want to be able to, pass policy that benefits them. While certain, parties will favor one company over another based on that policy, the other party will not in our two-party system. But that's why, like, I'm glad they're showing this, because it's showing just how easy it is to corrupt based on greed and just the desire for more money or contracts or whatever else in the world.
Mm,
And
interesting.
yes, galactic
Interesting. All
Halliburton has
right.
to go down because we need to save our planet from global warming. Hottest
Yeah.
summer on record. My God.
Yes. And then while this is happening, Sabine is still back in the hospital, and she has her little conversation with Hu Yang about the lightsaber and how it's Ezra's lightsaber. And she said, she's made some modifications on it, and if you make modifications on a lightsaber, it's technically yours. So it's her lightsaber. And he did say she was the worst student or worst Padawan he ever seen in terms of like the Force,
Man
which I
speaking
thought was
facts.
funny. Yeah, and I said earlier, I feel like this is a writer's out because they don't want her to have or lean on her Jedi powers. They want her to lean on her Mandalorian powers or her rebels attitude and stuff like that more, right? So I think that's why they did that. So I thought that was fun. But yes, back with Ruzzy was saying, Ahsoka just jumps out through the mirror, the window like a badass. I thought that was really cool. But what got me all excited was get the Phantom ready. And I was like, oh man, if we see the Phantom, we're probably going to see Ghost. We're going to see the ship. And we're going to see Chopper. and then and then lo and behold, we get to see our homie Chopper in the car. And as she's like following this ship that had the classified hyper speed engine or hyperdrive, um, Chopper's like, why don't we just blow it out of out of the air? And she's like, no, it'll fall and kill all the people below. And he goes, is that bad?
Our favorite war criminal.
Oh my god,
Oh man.
I love
so
Chopper.
funny. Yeah, he's so great. He's so great.
Yeah.
And you could actually understand him in the
Uh,
show, which is kind of I don't know if it's like a little unsettling or if I enjoy it, but we'll see. We'll just keep going. But I love Chopper. He's definitely the MVP.
our favorite war criminal. He's definitely done some sus stuff in the past. I do believe that. But yeah, but I love the fact that you can actually understand him. It's not like
Yeah,
R2D2 where it just like beeps and boops and bleep bleep blop, like or BB-8. Like you can
yeah.
almost understand Chopper, which I like.
I was gonna make
Uh,
the R2D2 screaming noise real quick, but I was like, nah, let's not, scar our listeners real quick.
so
But before we move on to that, one thing I do want to mention about that scene where they're fighting below where Ahsoka is, I was
yes,
so hoping she would do what Anakin does, where he's like just uses the Force and pulls the ship back. But I
I
guess we're
did
not
too.
there yet.
oh,
It would have been so cool if
uh,
she did that.
yeah. I feel like that's like we've seen Anakin do that. We also see Rey do that, and you know how dudes are when like people do that. They're like, oh, he's not supposed to be that powerful yet, or blah blah blah. So I didn't want to hear any of that stuff. So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because fanboys are always complaining about something. But I did like her fight with the Inquisitor. We don't
Inquisitor,
know which
maybe.
Inquisitor it is, but that was really cool. And the part that I really loved is when he gets the helicopter,
Yep.
helicopter, like the lightsaber, and he throws it, and then he runs onto the ship, and then he like uses the Force to pull it back, and Ahsoka doesn't even look. She does like the no look dodge. Oh, that was so dope. Rosie, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, that was straight an Anakin move right there. She just went like this, and then that was it. I mean, and Anakin did that as well. So it's just so great.
Yeah.
Let's see who this character is. I want to learn all about him and if he is actually an Inquisitor, because that's definitely an Inquisitor blade, no doubt
Yeah.
about that. And I didn't detect any Force, capabilities. But who knows? I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that in the fight.
I did not see anything that would, uh, make me feel like there was something familiar about this person. So I don't know. There was an Inquisitor in, I believe, Rebels that
Oh,
died.
many.
Yeah, so it could be that person, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know if it's that person, but Inquisitors are technically Force sensitive, so maybe we just didn't see the Force action here.
Hmm.
Well, he does pull the lightsaber back, right? When she
Yeah,
dodges it without using the
mm-hmm.
Force.
That's
So
true.
he
Yeah,
does have a
so
little bit.
there is a Force there.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I
I was
guess
thinking like in
so.
the fight at least.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of
In
like
the
a
fight there
yo-yo.
wasn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was cool. I'm excited to see who that person is. Maybe there's somebody from the video game. That would be dope. We
Oh
don't
wow.
know. We don't know. All right. Well, before we go into the next part, let's take a quick break for commercials, and we'll be right back. And we're back, guys. All right. So Chopper is trying to, make some more crimes happen, and Ahsoka lost the Inquisitor, and we're trying to figure out what's happening next. In the meantime, we do see Sabine go back and get all her Mandalorian armor, and she sits down and kneels. I'm like, okay, is she about to pray? What is she about to do? And then she kind of just like cuts off her hair, and I know um in one of the rebels, she says she doesn't like to have long hair and wear the helmet because it keeps her hot. So you're like, oh, okay, she is going to definitely, start getting into some action, start fight some stuff. So that was really, really cool. Um, I don't know. I thought it was really, really cool. What are your thoughts when we see Sabine getting ready to go back into action? Rosie.
It's great. I think it gave me a lot of Kanan vibes when he chopped off his hair and got ready for one of the final battles in the Rebels show. And like he had it laid out, she had it laid out almost exactly the same way. So it's definitely a callback to that.
It
Um,
is a callback to Kanan. Yeah, you're right.
right? Yeah. And I like the look. I mean, that's kind of like what we know her as. And can I just say that out of like everyone so far, obviously, like, Ahsoka was fan casted, but like Sabine's casting is so on point. I mean, she like definitely, carries the vibes from her TV show persona in a way that like I haven't seen. I like others. I'm sure we'll see, but this like just blows it away. So I'm loving it so
I
far.
agree.
Great
I
choice.
agree. Solid choice. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
It was interesting because like let's go back to her talk with Hu Yang, right? Hu Yang did a great job playing devil's advocate here. Like, oh well, you never indicated you wanted to go back, and Sabine, she was conflicted with herself because at this point, I think she realized that, okay, yes, although Ahsoka did have to do a lot and she had her own journey, she had to take care of a lot of things in the universe, maybe there is something on me as well because I didn't continue my training. I didn't, try to reach out. And it was good because it felt more like an apology almost. So seeing her
Mhm.
chop her hair off, I think it was like what is it? The not it's not grief, but like the acceptance stage almost, where she's like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe I did screw up here. Maybe there is more to this. You know what? Let's put the past behind us. Let's move forward. And it was just really cool
Yeah.
to see them and her accepting it, like accepting herself and almost forgiving herself
Yeah.
by chopping the hair off. And so just seeing her heal there, that was really cool.
I
So
think
this whole
last.
time, oh, go ahead, Rosie.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I think in the last episode we may have talked about how you have Sabine, who's a Mandalorian, trying to be a Jedi, but in the Mandalorian, you have Grogu, a Jedi, trying to become a Mandalorian. I just
Hmm.
think quite interesting how you had that those two like, and
Oh.
hence you have what you have. We have a comment in the chat that definitely, you know, it speaks to that.
Yeah, Michael says he can't wait till Sabine meets Grogu. So that'll be really, really cool. That'll be a cool little crossover. So very excited to see that. But you know what was really interesting to me? So we obviously know that Ahsoka and Sabine had a falling out. And knowing Sabine, I thought it was her. She was being a little difficult, and it was her who initiated the breakoff. But we learned from Hera that it was actually Ahsoka who initiated that. I was surprised. Like the master giving up on the Padawan is unheard of. That's wild. What did you guys think of that? Jav, you want to go
Hmm.
first?
So I lost my train of thought. I had something there. Come back to me.
All right, let's go to Resi. Let's go to Resi.
All right. Yeah, I think it does say a lot for her withdrawing or you know, um, being cut off from the force.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say cut off from the force. I mean, I guess that's how she describes it. I mean, she, left the Jedi order, albeit through pretty terrible circumstances. But I think, you know, that's still clouding her. Same with, her master, turning into Darth Vader, I'm sure is very much kind of preventing her from kind of taking on a Padawan. And it's just not a great time for Jedi's in the galaxy. I mean, granted, you have the end of the Empire, but I mean, from what we know, like in the main trilogy, Luke was one of the very few, force sensitive people that are out there. I think, and then we're obviously well before the sequels to the sequel trilogy. So we're at this time where there are not many. So I mean, to cut yourself off and to like stop, to prevent yourself from teaching someone else, I don't know. We'll see how things pan out. But I guess, when where there's tension and conflict, that invites a really good story.
Yeah, I do feel like there is a lot of trauma there from her whole experience with Anakin, especially with him going to the dark side, especially with his fight with Ahsoka in Rebels. I think there is a lot of, like scar there in terms of like what it's like to have a Padawan, the responsibilities, the guilt that comes from it. And I think there came a point where she was like, it was more that she didn't think she was good enough to be a master instead of Sabine not being good enough to be a Padawan. And I think we're going to get to learn that. I hope they explore that because that looks really, really good. Jav, you have a thought about it yet
Yeah.
or no?
So yeah. Rosie mentioned a very good point about how she wasn't sure if she'd be a good student or if Zuko would be a great master. But I think this could also stem from the trauma in that Rebels fight at the end where Ahsoka did fight Anakin. And she probably does blame herself a bit like, I wasn't good enough to bring Anakin back. This is, yeah, like, I mean, I'm just reading the comments real quick. MTF just said it. Ahsoka's probably carrying a lot of self doubt after what happened between her and Anakin.
Yeah.
That, she feels like maybe she isn't good enough to be a Jedi, either as a student or a master. And I think we're going to be exploring a lot of that trauma here, which is going to be really cool to see.
I am really excited to see that. All right. Well, that's where the episode left off. Before we talk about the end, they do show what that hyperdrive was being used for, and it was for a huge machine called the Eye of Sion. And what is Star Wars if not some machine getting built? It was some Death Star, some Death Star Part Two. So,
Yeah,
we got like freaking
part three,
Andor
part
making
four.
a little compartment with screws and stuff with the Death Star. There's always something being built. So in this
Oh,
one, we have the Eye of Sion. What are your thoughts of the Eye of Sion? What do you think that's going to be, Rezi?
I think so. I actually just watched, or I should say, rewatched Interstellar last night, and so which is such a beautiful, amazing movie. I think with the Eye of Sion, I think it's going to do something where it creates a good one. Not to be
Not to be
confused with the Eye of
confused.
Sauron.
That's a different
True,
podcast.
different podcast. But like something like a wormhole, right? It will be something that will just kind of transport you to another part of the galaxy, and I think that's kind of generally what's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to be one of those killer, planet killers, but I think it'll be more of some new intergalactic technology that maybe didn't exist before. Although this is, I think, maybe something that's also going beyond, um, the typical hyperdrives that are out there, where you can, jump to light speed and what have you. So we'll see.
Yeah. This also has a lot of significance because Scion is the name of Darth Scion, who first appeared in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the Sith Lords.
Ooh.
And he was a member of the Sith Triumvirate, with the, what was her name? Darth Nihilus and Darth Treya. And
Deep
they almost
cut.
succeeded in destroying the Jedi Order. So, I mean, like, the callbacks here and the Easter eggs are dropping. It's really interesting because I'm curious, like, could they be building back the Sith Triumvirate again? Because that would be really cool.
Ooh, that would be interesting. All right. Well, speaking of Easter eggs, let's talk about some Easter eggs on this episode. So, why don't we go to one more commercial break and we'll be right back with some Easter eggs. And we're back, guys. All right, we're gonna go into some quick Easter eggs, and then we'll just, wrap up the episode. I think a few of them we kind of already went over, right? So the episode is called what? Toil and Trouble, which is a reference to Macbeth, and the Night Sisters do come in threes, so that's going to be very interesting as they are witches. And when they use the star map, you see the green glow, and their magic usually stems from the green color, which I thought is really, really interesting. That's going to be really fun. The green flame on the star map was fun to see. We talked a little bit about this, but on the map, you do see the whales, the purgles. They're
It wasn't
coming
on the map. It was in the sky, I think.
in the sky.
You
Well,
saw it in the clouds.
yeah. Yeah, they thought in the clouds. You see it in the map too. When she puts the map in the little thing, there are a little bit, and you see it in the end credits. So that is pretty cool. Han Solo originated from Corellia, so we got to see that Corella. What is it called? Corellia, right? I think that's what it is. So Han Solo was from there. That's where he got his start. Also, for those you don't know, Chopper is voiced by Dave Filoni, so that's always fun. And I think Ruzzy already mentioned the way Sabine kneels and cuts her hair is the same way that Kanan did it in Rebels with his hair. So that was really, really cool. So yeah, I mean, we got some, really cool Easter eggs in this episode. I think the first one had a few more. And we got some cool questions in the comments. You want to dive into some of these questions, Jazz?
Sure. What comments are you looking at, Neves? I'm just curious now. Like,
okay, sorry. Michael said, "Do we know what happened to Ventress?"
No.
Okay, there is a book called The Dark Disciple, and I don't want to spoil it, but I recommend reading that.
All right, so we won't spoil it. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil anything off that. All right. So you'll have
let's
to.
just say we won't be seeing Asajj Ventress anytime soon.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Okay. You know what I just thought about? They got 9 of those hyperdrives off that freaking, shipyard. They've been doing this for a while, man. They've been at it.
Yeah.
Those people, like, don't they got like, I don't know, man. Like, are they paying off some of these like tariff people and like, how are they doing this? They've got to have some more checks and balances in this place.
I think that's a good point to bring up because this is showing corruption at the highest level of government and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, we haven't even scratched the surface of how deep corruption and the Sith Empire is still there. Like, it's
That's
there,
true.
and people just are pretending like, oh no, everything's hunky dory, like we're all living life, everybody's happy. No, there's a deeper problem here.
It also goes to explain that even though the Republic might be the good guys, they are so unorganized and incompetent that like sometimes people rather have the bad guys be in charge. At least the trains ran on time. Like at least things were happening. At least the flow of commerce was all right. Like the economy, guys, who cared if they're war criminals and they're racist? The economy was fine. That's kind of like how they're doing it. So I don't know, but they're like even in Andor, like you can see how incompetent they are in a lot of this stuff. I mean, not incompetent. Even in Andor, you see like they were just like vicious, but they had this like legal thing, and the prisons were like strict, and they had everything organized really, really well. They were just really, really evil. And here we see the opposite. They're good, but they're really, really unorganized and don't know what they're doing. Kind of like our government.
I was like, oh my god, you hit something right on the head there, Neebs. Like, should I say it? Should I say it?
Yeah, this is like that's why it was so easy for the First Order to make the galaxy great again.
All these gems, so many gems.
Oh my god,
make the galaxy great again. Oh, that was the best comment of the night. Michael's killing it. Rezi, did you have some last things you wanted to talk about? You said you had some comments for the final convo.
Oh yes. So one thing I loved about the episode was when Lady Morgan says the appearance of Ahsoka troubles you, and so she asks him to just kind of sense, whether she's coming after them, and he said, her presence in the Force is elusive, but her determination is vivid. She is on her way. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then she's like, he said, Baylor says, to kill her will be a shame. There's so few Jedi left. I thought that was really fascinating. And then Lady Morgan was a quick back, sentimental, true, right? And that was just kind of like the end of that. And I thought it was just such a remarkable conversation because it shows that Balin is still like very connected, or maybe he respects Jedi and the Jedi Order, but for some reason he left, right? And so that's what makes his character so unique. Like he is very, compared to anyone I've seen in Star Wars thus far, he comes off very regal. Yeah. And for like a Jedi to come off that regal, I mean, there haven't been that many. There have been a few, right? But I think he's really carrying it quite well, and he's a very fascinating character, especially that conversation.
I agree. It's a very fascinating character, and it's really sad that the actor who played him passed away. I think that sucks, man.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's very tragic.
Yeah. I don't know, man, but this episode was pretty good. I don't know how people feel about these first few episodes. I'm enjoying it. It's not like Book of Boba Fett where I was like, ugh, like I had a hard time getting it onto it. And the fact that we're getting like more than just 6 episodes makes me happy. I don't know. I really like it. I am an Ahsoka fan. I really, really like these new Jedi, non-Sith characters. Lady Morgan, not Captain Morgan, is a great character. They have all these great characters. Like there's just something nostalgic about seeing the Rebels crew again, man.
I know.
Like
it really is amazing.
Man, it was Captain Hera, seeing Chopper. It was really, really fun. And we saw Zeb in what was it? Andor, or did we see him in Mandalorian? I think we saw him in the Mandalorian.
I think in Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett.
No, I think it was no. I think we saw him in the last season of the Mandalorian, I believe. He was just yeah. He was just in a bar. So we've seen everybody except for Hera's son.
Yeah,
Jason.
We even see the hologram of Ezra too. So
we see
clearly,
the hologram of Ezra.
I mean, the fact that they like also casted a hologram, an actor to do the hologram. Yeah, I think he's coming. When I don't know. Sure. And actually, for me, my nostalgia was like negative 23 minutes because I finished the series 23 minutes after the premiere of Ahsoka for the first time. So I never watched I'll be honest, I didn't watch Rebels or Clone Wars. When I heard the show was coming out, I had to do my homework. So, and my hardcore Star Wars nerd friends put me to shame every time I mention that. So,
Well, now you're all caught up,
bring it.
and
Exactly.
and
I'm all
even
caught
better,
up.
it's all fresh in your head because I watched it years ago.
Exactly.
So I have to
Yeah.
have to call back and be like, what are other war crimes that Chopper do? For you, they're fresh in your head.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All
Just
right. Well,
bomb things.
Rusty, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's always a pleasure having you on. You are the third nerd, and we'll have you back for the rest of the season, man. It'll be really
Thank
cool.
you.
And listen, if anybody wants to be on our episode of Ahsoka, let us know, and
We're gonna
we
bring
will.
MTF on at some point, and he seems
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Yeah,
he's
he's
got
great.
he's funny, man. Michael's got some great jokes. We will be recording Ahsoka every what is it? Is it Thursday or Friday that we
It's supposed
Thursday.
to be Wednesday because it comes out Tuesday at 9 p.m. nowadays.
Wednesdays,
Wednesday
okay.
at 3 a.m. Yeah.
So this Wednesday we will be doing Ahsoka, and then I believe Tuesday we're gonna try to do Blue Beetle. Have you seen Blue Beetle yet, Jess?
I am scheduled to watch it tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll have to do Blue Beetle, and then we'll do Ahsoka, and that'll be for this week. And then also stay tuned for our weekly episode of Salaam Weekly, where we go over the week's news and entertainment, our lives, and just a bunch of random gibberish stuff that we talk about with no plan whatsoever.
Yeah. Speaking
So
of no plan whatsoever, real quick, I got to mention one more thing before we end the show.
sure.
Corellia is a home planet of our favorite crime lord, Akira. And she was played by Emilia Clarke. So
Yes.
my theory has always been we're going to see Emilia Clarke in Star Wars more. And I'm kind of hoping it may happen this season.
Is she gonna have all the powers of the Avengers?
Oh, of course. Of course. We're going to unite all the universes here.
They're all owned by Disney, who should be paying their writers, by the way, and their actors. All right. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, guys, Salaam nerds.
Peace.